You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Hey, everybody. Back in the studio, back to the land of the living. It's nice to be anywhere. This is the first time I've been out of the house in quite some time, actually. You know, I've had the flu and all that other business. Have you ever had that yet? Is it their season for it?
I haven't had it this year.
Well, but your kids haven't passed it around? Well, good for them. You know, wrap them up in some sort of protective bubble or whatever. I have Shandys Stogsdill here today. We're going to talk about our quarterly visit on Burleson Radio and Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. We're going to talk about just how affordable homes are. Actually, I hope you caught the sarcasm there because because it's getting just out of sight. And we're going to talk about that, what you can do, what your options are, where the homes are available, any new developments coming up. I'm sure there's something being built. I know there's one on Renfro. Do you know much about that one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know the pricing of the homes yet. Of course, that's probably my fault for not looking into that, but we're not quite there, so I'm not that far ahead. And there's two on Renfro. There's one toward Bennett's, and I just saw they're doing a bunch of dirt work for another one.
It is.
Toward, I don't know what road that is, County Road. It's just past Saddle Hills.
Okay, I haven't seen that one as much, but I drive by the one on Renfro all the time.
And it's making quite a bit of progress.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's between, for those who are out of town, Renfro out in the country is the main drag. It's going to be, I don't even want to think about the traffic issues coming from that, but yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to that. But also I'd like to talk about what's going on in the rates in the markets, because I keep reading Jerome Powell keeps wanting to raise the rates.
They are going to raise the rates in March.
In March, okay, but they've been signaling this for like 3, 4, 5 months now.
Yeah, but they're actually meeting March 15th.
Okay.
So there is at least one rate hike coming.
Oh, I've been told we'll
probably have 6
this
year.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking 5, but 6 makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, but before we jump on this, I need to make sure we're all shared here and everything, because it's my vast listening audience definitely wants to see this. How's things on the 817 Life page? I see that, and I routinely check in on it.
It's good. We just really share local events, local businesses.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I'm sorry. I got my phone still. I'm still. I've been doing this for nearly
269 episodes,
and I still do this,
and it still happens.
And it still happens. It's maddening. But anyway,
it's good. I haven't really thought about what we're going to do in the first quarter. We usually do like contests and things, and honestly, I just haven't thought about it. So if anybody has ideas, like what they would want to do for a contest to support local businesses and for members to win prizes to local businesses, let me know. I'm open. I have an idea of something I want to do, but it's quite large, and I'm not at a point to talk about it.
Giving away a Tesla?
Oh, I want a Tesla. Can I give it to me?
That's the only way most people will have one.
But you have a Tesla. You could give yours to me.
Tesla.
I'll give it to you for some money.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Jeez. You got more money than both of us combined, Taylor. What are you talking about?
All right. I don't know if I'll go that far.
Are you listening to me, ladies?
Oh, goodness.
Okay. And that's the show. See you later.
Yeah.
Is it time for the sponsors?
Yeah, we're done. That's a show. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Wow, that was quick. See how time flies?
I didn't realize you were a matchmaker, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, sure I am. Okay. Let's talk about the sponsors here. Of course, thank you, Daniel, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Go get you a workout. Get fit. Don't throw a fit. Check out the webpage to find out their training programs and memberships. And then, of course, you have Shandy. Tell us about your business.
Well, I'm a local realtor. I actually have a team. So far, I just have 2 buyer's agents.
How many do you want?
I'm scaling this year, so that's the goal. I really don't want necessarily, no offense to people in Burleson, but I'm trying to diversify throughout DFW. I have 1 Dallas agent, and then I have another 1 Burleson buyer agent. But so we'll see how that goes this year. It's going to be very organic. I don't like to force things. Things will happen as they're supposed to happen.
So when I think of organic, I think y'all sitting around a candle, and chanting. Is that not what we're talking about here?
I might meditate over it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, how long have you been doing this, by the way?
I've been a realtor for 7 years, and I've done all sorts of real estate.
Yeah, you've been doing real estate one form or another since you got out of college. Even while you were in
really
college.
Since out of high school. I bought my first house at 19. and have owned many since, had rental properties, done spec houses, my husband and I, and lots of different things. Worked for an appraiser for a while, worked in title for a while. This is just kind of like, I fell into it, I guess.
You didn't fall into it. You were called to do it.
That's true.
This is your destiny. Okay, and speaking of destiny, it's your destiny to talk to Rex Russell with the Russell Wealth Group. See how I segued it in?
Yes.
Yeah, myfinancialbox.com. He's over in Cleburne. Get to know him, get to talk to him, find out what he can do for your 401k. When you click that box at myfinancialbox.com, he is the mayor of Eagan, and he'll be proud to tell you that the gas prices in Eagan are lower than anywhere else.
What's the population of Eagan?
28.
Oh.
But they do have a gas station.
Oh.
Yeah. He talks about being the mayor of Eagan. I asked him.
It's symbolic.
Well, no, I mean, I guess it is. But we said, did they have a protest at City Hall, protesting the vote and all this other stuff, Said, yeah, it happened on January 6th, but we got covered up by some other events that day. So, Anyway, so on to the next one. Kimmy Etheridge over at Optavia, 817-789-1622. I can vouch for her weight loss program is better than the one I just went through. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I lost 13 pounds in the last week, and I'm sure it'll come right back.
Oh, right. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, dadgum, it just, wow, getting fit. No, it's not. But anyway, 817-889-1622, and she can not just help you take it off, but keep it off. It's a healthy lifestyle plan, not just a diet plan. Also, Gayla Moore's over at the Southern Gym. I took Robin there about 3 weeks ago and we got some jewelry repaired, and now she just wears it.
Oh, you didn't buy her new jewelry?
Oh, I'm sure that's on the list. I mean, when my wife goes in there and she also is getting some pearls restrung, and lengthened a bit. So I'm just thinking, dadgum, bring her in here. But Gayla can design, clean, repair, and she has nice inventory. She's looking to expand, so business is doing good. I told her it pays to advertise. Also, we have our newest sponsors, started just last Monday, which is Hotworks. You know Hotworks, don't you?
I do. I have lots of friends who go there.
Yeah, and they all rave about it.
They do, actually.
What do they tell you about it?
Oh, they just like it. I mean, I don't know.
Did they tell you what they do there?
No.
Okay.
But I can't do anything that says hot.
No, it's infrared, and it does.
I will.
No, you're not a hot person.
No, I need all the air conditioning.
Well, it's a not just a yoga spa and all this other business, but it's a whole workout program with infrared.
Right.
It's not like
it helps you burn. It's supposed to help you burn more efficiently.
And it does.
Yeah.
And it does. And we have several people in our BNI group, Gayla and Kimmy and Michelle Umphrey, who owns this, all belong to that networking group I'm in, and several of our mutual colleagues have joined Hotworks, and they just rave about it at the meetings because they go in and work out in this infrared system, and they come out, pretty worked out, you might say, but they don't feel like, all these muscles are aching. It isn't like, throwing iron around.
Right.
So they just swear by it. So thank you, Michelle, for joining the crew. And I think now let's talk about real estate. I read in the Dallas paper yesterday that in the DFW area, the prices of houses in the last year went up, I believe 22 to 23%.
23%.
That's almost a quarter.
It's pretty crazy.
And then I get the Zillow reports every month, and I'm sure Zillow.
Meh.
Yeah, no, Zillow, Schmillow. But they've shown the housing in Burleson area in this zip code in particular has gone up nearly 30% in the last year. Mm-hmm. Well, we know the causes of that, I suppose, but maybe we ought to reiterate some of those. Why is it going so high?
Well, everything's going high if we haven't noticed, but at the same time,
Joe Biden did that.
Anyway, I'm not here for politics.
I was going to ask you about that later. We're going to talk about your personal.
I'm here for real estate.
No, we're going to talk about your personal political preferences.
Let's don't do that.
And what's your position and blah blah. No,
anyway,
She said anyway.
Anyway, back to real estate. So essentially, DFW has a very healthy economy. Mm-hmm. We have a great job market, and rates are low, which still, historically low, even though I know they're going up, and we'll talk about that. But, it creates more buying power. Mm-hmm. And so there's just a lot of buyers that are coming into the market with a lot of buying power. Mm-hmm. And not enough houses.
Where are these buyers coming from?
It's not necessarily all other states.
We hear California is invading us.
I think that if you want to talk about California, they're going to Austin more than they're coming to DFW. Or if they're coming to DFW, I would look at Collin County.
Right.
Not necessarily Fort Worth, Tarrant County, or Johnson County.
I know Plano, where I went to high school and spent a lot of my post-high school days there till about the mid-'80s, is nothing like the Plano is now. Plano was one of the reddest areas of the state. It was one of the very few Republican areas of the state when I was in high school.
Well, it was a lot of farmland back then.
Yeah, well, when I moved there in 74, it was. When I graduated 6 years later, it wasn't. It was all grocery stores and houses. I mean, it had nothing
But
else.
Frisco, up until maybe 20, maybe it even hasn't been 20 years. I know I was in college, so maybe it has been. Oh, how depressing.
Yeah.
But Frisco was like farmland for days.
It was just a greasy spot on
off
the map.
380.
It was just a spot you drove through to go to Louisville.
Yes.
You know, something like that. And now I don't recognize it. It's like something out of the Jetsons. But, you know, speaking of which, you know, my son was he has a job right now, good job. But he also wants to come home. And they were looking at jobs in his field in this area, and they're mostly in North Dallas and Collin County.
Right.
And some in northern Tarrant County. And for him to be able to make just a move that is basically equivalent to what he's doing now, where he's living, he'd have to have almost like a $15,000 to $20,000 raise just to be even, because the difference in rent.
And he's in Missouri, correct?
It's St. Louis, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't make that clear. Yeah, he's in St. Louis. He's doing well. You know, and he has a good
and the
place.
market is healthy there, but it's not moving as fast as it is here.
He has a good place, a really nice apartment or condo rent that people would kill for here, particularly for the quality he has. If he wanted the equivalent in Plano or North Dallas, it'd be about maybe a 35-40% more.
Right.
And so when
I
he
don't
was
doubt that.
when he was talking to these people, said, "Well, I'm going to need this much just to maintain," and they said, "Well, I don't know if we can do that," you know, and that kind of thing. So, but it'll all work out. But still, it's amazing to me, just the difference. It's gone up. And his mother checks all this stuff out on the interwebs and all this other stuff, and she just astounded too. And I said, "Well, yeah, I already kind of figured that out." So,
Yes.
anyway, back to you.
No, you're fine.
You know, okay. Well, I'm just saying.
That's real life.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly what the impact of this housing market is having. If would he have taken that job? Well, there'd be other factors, but once he found out how much different the apartment rent or decent house rental will be,
Right.
and then to even buy a house, it basically, he said, it priced him out of the opportunity.
Well, and rent is really crazy right now.
It's ridiculous. Do you have any idea what the average rent in Burleson area is? I know the last time I looked, it was 14 to 15.
It's probably closer to 17 now.
Oh, Lord. And, you know, and like my daughter and her husband now had an apartment. And, you know, I want to stop for a moment. Every time you're on the show, Jonathan Cook always manages to walk by. I don't know what's his
He's
problem.
trying to recruit me to his
Yeah,
team.
I mean, I think he's trying to intimidate you here. All right, anyway.
That's not easy to do.
No, yeah, that's true. He didn't know who he's messing with. But anyway, back to Sarah and Ben, is that when they were renting an apartment, they were paying almost as much as I and Robin are paying in our mortgage with taxes and insurance included. And
Right.
it was a nice place, but it wasn't much bigger than this studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, this is craziness. I remember when I got out of college and I got an apartment in Plano, and I was paying like $250 or $275 a month, and it was like so much more space. And I'm thinking, well, it's a bit expensive, but I'll make it work. And now, you know, an apartment of that size would be $2,000.
Right. It is crazy.
And then it brings up the conundrum that has been part of Burleson politics in the last 2 or 3 elections is apartment buildings. You know?
Right.
Well, you
but
know,
people have to have places to live.
You're right. And you know, I don't think the solution is that to build more apartments, but then how much is a typical new built home going for in the Burleson market?
I know of one in particular behind Aldi. The houses behind Aldi.
Right.
They're about 1,200 square feet.
Right.
And they are $1,750 a month.
But they're rentals, right?
They're rentals. Those are rentals.
Okay. From what I understood, I talked to Justin Bond, who's kind of ramrodding that deal. Mm-hmm. Originally, they thought they were going to be for sale.
Right. And then they transitioned.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And they look nice.
No, they're nice houses, but That's a small house.
Yes,
for $1,700 a month.
Well, yes, it is, but I bet they all sell out like that.
Oh yeah, they're not, because I've talked to Nicole over there at Shipman on several occasions for clients, and they go super fast.
Just a private waiting list.
Yeah. Well, and right now they're only allowing, like, they'll have like 3 or 4 available at the time. They're basically renting them as soon as they get finished. Mm-hmm. So then, you just kind of have to call and be like, okay, what's available today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charity Rudia says, I am paying $1,700 for a two bedroom, 2 bath, and an apartment in Burleson.
Yes.
That's actually my neighbor.
Charity is?
Yeah.
Oh, she's a very
awesome.
sweet gal. She really is sweet. I've known her for quite some time. That's not a bad price, I guess, for 2 bedroom, 2 bath.
Well,
I mean, is that the going rate?
it probably is the going rate. Yeah. I mean, there are advantages to apartment living and disadvantages, right?
I can think of the disadvantages pretty quickly.
I know, but when you've owned a home, like,
Right.
you know what the disadvantages are. But you get perks with an apartment that you also pay for. Like you're not having to maintain a yard.
Right.
You're not having to worry about the upkeep. And here's the thing, like, on a rental, you're probably not supposed to, but there are good landlords and there are bad landlords.
Yes.
So,
when Rob and I first got married, we got an apartment in North Arlington, and it was $385 a month, but it had a studio and a little balcony. I could put my small grill on it. And I look back on that now, that's like living, on the Ritz compared to some of these apartments I see now, which are, and they're not slums or, they're not tenement
they're
housing.
just small.
Very small. And it seems like every of the amenities are going to be the low end kind. You're not going to get chrome. You're going to get shiny plastic, that kind of stuff.
So I really think what we're going to start seeing is, and I know that everybody hates comparisons to California. I know, but
because they always come out short.
But Los Angeles County in particular had an issue. They passed, and I believe I shared this. I think I shared it on the Stogsdill group page. It was an article about the problems with housing in LA County. And unfortunately, there was a time where nobody wanted apartments. So they passed all these strict zoning laws against apartments to restrict their riffraff, essentially. Okay.
Would that include me?
I don't know, maybe. And what has happened over the last 40 years is that obviously we know housing in LA County is insane. I mean, in all of the state of California, the median house price is $835,000.
And that includes all those communities out.
That's the entire
valley.
state. So you're talking about the valley. You're talking about places that are considered affordable. So what has happened is you've seen a transition recently of people having guest homes in their backyards. They've tried to move to multiple family. In certain counties, it was legal. I do not believe it was legal in LA County, but they're about to pass it.
I hope so.
There's no way around it. They don't have any more land to build.
I know that Seattle put a stop to that. And then they got people living in tents and under the bridge and all this other stuff. But by God, we're not going to have a guest house, that's affordable because it ruins the view or something like that.
Right.
So we'll have people living in the streets.
Right.
And so,
and I think that in a sense, we can go on tangents about America all day long, but in a sense, this is an American problem because we have in our mind that we always need bigger and better. And I deal with buyers all the time who buy more than they actually need.
Why is that?
Because we are a society
where bigger is better.
Where bigger is better. If we can,
in Texas.
Yeah, and if we can have a 1,200 square foot house, but we can afford a 2,300 square foot house, but there's only 2 people in this household, let's just go in and buy the 2,300. And then what's interesting is that people then will say, "Oh, well, now we have 2 kids and 2,300 square feet. That's not big enough." What? Like our grandparents raised.
Oh yeah.
Whole families in 1,200 square feet.
I've noticed that my in-laws live in the same home they've been in for, that home was built in the 20s. You know, it's a nice, clean house, but it ain't ornate by any means.
Right.
And they raised 3 daughters there.
And that stance could hurt my business, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I just think that there has to be a shift in mentality as well of like, what do we actually need?
Well, I don't know. You traveled in Europe all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not all the time.
Well,
but-
you did more than once. You've
Right.
been several countries. I haven't
Right.
been to many, but a couple of times I've been overseas, and I've stayed with a family. And I mean, I was like, man, this is close. This is tight,
Right.
you know? But
I mean, just go to IKEA. That's how
Yeah.
Europeans live.
yeah. And I'm like, they, on the other hand, were considered to be top of the society. That,
Right.
you know, I was staying in a small town in Scotland. I was staying in a very nice little house. But boy, it was tight. You know, you and about one other person get in the kitchen.
Right.
For us, if we don't have an island and have a spice rack and we got to have a, you know,
Or a media room and a playroom.
and a wine cellar and a, you know,
Right.
you know, the problem I have, I guess, is that we're happy with our house. But even if we contemplated seriously about selling it, we would have nowhere to go.
Right. The replacement is hard.
Yeah, and unless I want to move to, you know, Itasca or something. Sorry, Itasca listeners. No, I love Itasca. Anyway, I probably have one there at best. But I'm just saying that you'd have to move way out
Or you'd have
there.
to just really downsize.
Really downsize or move into speaking of like townhomes. We don't have any of those in Burleson that I know of.
We do. We have
Where?
some off of
Okay.
Summercrest toward Crowley Road. And those are purchased townhomes.
Okay, see, I thought those were apartments myself. I'm sorry.
Well, there are apartments. So there's apartments there. And then
That was the part,
before the apartment building, in between the housing addition,
Well-
there's a small development of townhomes.
I know what you're talking about now because that's where my daughter lived, was in those apartments that were on the corner of Summercrest and I guess that's 714.
And then also like the Tinker Trail, off of Tinker Trail, there's some townhomes there. Those are also purchased. And I think Bransom Homes may be putting some townhomes in, I think it's Reverie behind HEB. It's a similar,
Oh, yeah.
it's a
Oh, yeah,
similar
yeah.
bungalow style addition.
But you know, you go to some of these other places like in Dallas and in Fort Worth, you see a lot more of these kind of 0 lot lines or townhomes.
Right.
You don't see much of that here. Is that because we insist on having a yard, piece of dirt to play in?
I'm not sure. I don't think we've really had a need for it until now. We've grown to the point where we're going to have to start thinking that direction. A lot of the issue with condos and townhomes is the HOAs are insane usually.
Right. Oh, yeah. And there's always some HOA, you know, fascist.
And let's be real,
totalitarian
people in
dictator.
Johnson County don't want to be told what to do.
Really? Never noticed that. Well, I thought we were very passive. You bet. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. No, you're telling me that Johnson County people are full of obstinate, difficult people?
Well, they just want people to stay out of
No,
their business.
No, I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know.
They do. They move down here probably to get out of the city so they can, you know, play in the dirt and have a little space
Right.
from their neighbors and all this. You know, that's the thing is you talk about apartments and townhomes. I guess townhomes you probably have less of the issues that come with apartments because you know you got people that are
Well,
invested
you're
in these.
purchasing. It's a purchase.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so people have a skin in the game, so to speak. Whereas
Right.
an apartment, you know, you never know who's going to be beside you or on top of you or
Well, but I've
But,
lived in
you
some neighborhoods that I never know who's going to be beside me.
yeah. Well, our
I've had
neighborhood-
some questionable neighbors throughout the years.
I would say that, but Jonathan and his family have been our neighbors since we moved there. So,
Right.
so I better be
You
careful.
live in a great neighborhood, though. It's always been a great neighborhood.
Yeah, and the transition's always been pretty smooth, and the families that moved out were great, and moved in were great. So we never had that family, you know, down the street, you know, where the police were always showing
Right.
up. But in apartments, you know, even in the nicer ones, you still got people that they don't have an investment in this, and you know, they just trash the joint or whatever else, or they
That's
make
a type of person, though.
yes, or they maybe even just obtuse and they make a lot of noise, or you know, stuff like that. So you get those issues, but I'd like to see maybe more townhomes and 0 lot lines than just strictly apartments.
I think we'll move toward that for sure.
Yeah, well, let's hope because it's got to the point now where we have to keep moving further and further out, and and there's all sorts of other issues involved, infrastructure issues, driving
Right.
issues, on and on and on. But before we jump into all those
Okay.
issues, we're just flying along. Let's talk about the other sponsors because they're getting impatient.
Okay.
you know how it is. Okay.
I was like, I thought we had more sponsors.
We do.
There they are.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd rather than put them all in one,
Oh, I get it.
I like to break them up so people will pay attention. Anyway, of course, Otto at our place. Everybody loves Otto. The Prince of Burleson. You go there for a good meal. I had to miss my bi-weekly breakfast this morning because I'm still a little tender. But I love that joint. I really do.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
It is great.
And he treats me pretty well. And I crack up with Otto because he walks around there and he's just like a celebrity chef or something,
Yes.
and everybody, and he schmoozes and one and has a seat beside you. And he makes restaurant owning look fun.
So, quick funny story about our place. My youngest child, when she was probably 4, she had a regular babysitter that would babysit her, and her favorite place was our place. So she would say, "We're going to our place." And then as she got older, she was like, "Oh, that's the name of it. It's
Yeah.
not our place."
Yeah.
She didn't understand.
Well, that's this. I've done that before. When I have my BNI meetings, one-on-one meetings we have, I always do it at our place. And they say, "Okay, where do you want to meet?" "Well, let's meet at our place." Blah, blah. Well,
What does that mean?
They're thinking. One old lady who didn't know me that well said, "Our place, like, are you insinuating something?" "No, our place, the restaurant, it's right across the street from where we meet."
See, Otto did that on purpose so we could all have awkward moments.
Well, this was about 2 months ago, and it's like, but the look on her face was like, "Are you implying something, sir?" No, it's a restaurant right by McDonald's. Holy cow,
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, also thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar and Culture.
Oh, I need to get over there. I'm sorry, Chris.
Well, he's been busy.
I know.
You should have a cigar with Hadley.
I actually do like cigars,
Yeah.
so don't.
Yeah, I know. I've been over there a couple of times, and I see, a couple of women with a
Yeah.
nice big old cigar. It's not necessarily a man thing. It's
Right.
it's for everybody. And you can go get gift cards.
Oh, they
and
have
whatnot.
whiskey too, which is
It just is okay. It's like money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you whiskey, and that's close
that's
enough.
true.
But no, it's oh gosh, my Sunday school teacher, my preacher, just shaking her head right now.
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. But it's a nice place. You can go there and hear yourself think, instead of being blasted
It
out.
is it is really nice. I've been in there right before they opened, and it's a nice place.
Well, get over there.
It's a great location.
Also, thank you to Proactive Payment Solutions, Antonio Bassalo. He's another BHS guy, and he can help you with your point of sales operations, get you the program, get you the rates, get you what you need set up. Proof of protectivepaymentsolutions.com is the website, so check it out, because if you're spending money on a certain system, maybe costing you too much money, he can tell you that. So, and Tony's a good guy.
So he does. Is it payroll? It's just point of sale?
Point of sales right now.
Okay,
He
okay.
wants to expand, but
Okay.
one thing at a time. This is a pretty new business, and but he's going to make it work.
Good.
He's a hardworking guy, and same with the next guy, Payne Beagles, with Beagles Technology Solutions. Make your home smart home. Also, this might interest you. Do you ever need for video drone videography?
Of course.
Well, he
I
does
have a
that.
need right now.
We'll talk to him then. He does
Okay.
that stuff. He just got that going on about last month. So it's 817-944-3572 or beaglestech.com. He was on the show about a month ago. Had his wife on about 3 weeks ago. She works for the Alzheimer's Association.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
You remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah, she was a very lovely young lady and very bright. And so, but call that number if you need some videography. Also, you can turn your home smart home, migrate your data from one to another. It's the full setup. And I've got a lot of regard for young Mr. Beagles. He's always been, a very sharp, put together young man.
Well, and
so-
as an agent, that's a great. I need to get some cards or something because a lot of clients want to do that, and I'd rather send them locally, obviously.
Okay.
Because that's what we do.
Well, if I'd have known, he gave me a few cards. I would have brought
That's
them.
okay. I can get some.
You can
later.
get some. Well, I'll let him know. Also, Local Life TX magazine's coming out this week. I'm going to have Tiffany on Monday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day. There's a pub crawl here in Burleson.
Yes.
And she also, this poor lady, she got saddled with the Project Celebration version. I don't know what they call it exactly. It's
Oh, it's like
Centennial
the senior.
post-prom party.
I did see
She's
that.
running that, yeah. She has a daughter that's graduating Centennial, and she got roped into that. Now she has to raise money, and, it's like, 20% do 80%. She's got,
Yes.
just poor woman.
Yes.
But anyway, the magazine's coming out. The website's up, and you can check out the specials and the deals and the coupons and whatever. And advertisements are really good. She makes contact with over 110,000 people, so that's not a bad thing. And lastly, Burleson Radio, your voice, your station, rocking out as we speak on Live 365. Give it a listen. Okay. What were we talking about?
We were going to talk about rates. I think you and I tend to go off on tangents.
Oh, well, that's fine. I've had people come in on the show and said, you act like you're having fun. Well, I am. It's just, it's easy to talk to you because you never lack for anything to say.
That's true.
And that's been a lifelong thing.
Not that my parents really liked that. But it's all right.
No. When I'm a teacher in a classroom, at least back in the day, and I'd see students that, like yourself, that are expressive, I knew they'd be successful.
Expressive. That's such a nice way to put it.
But expressive is different than saying difficult or obnoxious. I'm just saying that you were able to communicate and emote and all this other stuff, and I knew you'd be successful because
you're so sweet.
Well, that's a big component of being successful, is being able just to be able to converse with people and not look at the ground and mumble or whatever. And so I look at several of your classmates, I knew they'd be successful.
Yeah.
And
we had a really good class, though.
96,
let's talk about 96. We had a really good class.
It's still one of my top 5. It's still up there. And I look at on the Facebook, some of your classmates, and they're just knocking it out. And it's like, I'm really, really happy, but I'm not surprised. It's not like, oh my God, I thought he'd be a loser. No, I knew it'd be a success. Right. Anyway, we digressed. Let's talk about those rates.
We're off on another tangent.
What is about what's happening with the rates right now?
So the Fed is meeting March 15th and 16th. The rate hike should happen about April 1st. So what I will tell people, it's a twofold. Like if you know for sure that you are wanting to refinance or do a cash out or buy a new house, I would say you need to weigh your options and try to get in before the rate hike, just because any little bit of a hike is going to make your buying power less.
And even if it's like a quarter point.
Well, I think it will be a quarter point.
Okay, but a quarter point over the amounts that we're talking about add up to money over the course of the life of the loan.
Right. It depends on what your loan amount is, but you're talking, it could be anywhere between $150 a month difference to $350 a month difference, depending on the loan amount, right? So, so just be aware of that. That doesn't mean like, I'm not going to encourage people to be like, go do it now, because yes, we're going to have rate hikes, but then I did get some information so I have this thing about when people start making people panic. That's not what I want to do, but you just need to make an educated decision. And so the thing is that they feel like by the end of the year that we will probably be close to 5% on the basis. The last time we reached 5% was in 2009. Okay, so we've been really low for a long time. Just to give some perspective, at the start of the Great Recession in 2006, the average mortgage rate was 6.41. And then, thank you. And then 10 years earlier in 1996, the average mortgage rate was 7.81, which I know because I bought a house in 1997. And I think our rate was 7.75.
It was what I was paying roughly. When I bought my house in 91, it was almost 9%.
Right. And then it said 10 years earlier in 1986, the average mortgage rate was 10.19. So I know that when we were talking about, we were at 2 point.
I'll forward you.
Okay. We were in 2020, we were in the 2s, right? Some people got in the 1s. That's unheard of. And 5% is not really that high. So don't panic. I think the issue becomes in Texas, and I want to talk a little bit about this, is that it's not the mortgage rates that kill us here. It's our property taxes.
Yes.
So, when you're talking about purchasing, it's not really the mortgage that's going to, and I've had clients, especially first-time buyers. I had one recently. He talked to his lender, who was not my husband. It wasn't a lender I knew.
Okay.
And, he's like, well, this is what I can afford. So we go shop and we have a pre-approval and all the things, and we get under contract. And then for whatever reason, the lender decides, oh, I guess I should tell him about his escrows. Well, that increased his payment to such a point that it freaked him out. Like we didn't move forward.
Right.
Because people don't realize how much escrow is going to cost you.
That does surprise me a little bit. And I've been paying on this new note. We refinanced recently, and like I'm paying small amounts on the principal and a ton on the taxes and insurance, and print and interest and things like that. And of course, we just had this Republican governor candidate Huffine saying we're going to do away with property taxes.
I won't. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I understand they're pretty high, and I don't like them, but what are you going to do to replace the money? And I never did get a real good answer for that. But it's all water on the bridge now, since
Right, he didn't make it.
Yeah, and so,
Right.
but I just
so
like,
it doesn't matter.
But yeah, I just don't know what to make of the property taxes, and I know that in the last Burleson election, the one before it, that was the big issue. And it's almost like, I don't know what can be done about it.
There's not really a solution. And here's the thing, it's got to be at the state level. So I know that I will say this year in May, we're voting on increasing the homestead exemption. So people need to be voting.
Local or statewide?
Statewide.
Okay.
That's for the state. Increasing the homestead exemption, which means that you'll get more of an exemption based on your homestead. And then, so everybody needs to be aware of that, because that will help short term. It will help your taxes not go up so much per year.
First Saturday in May, I'll bet.
Yes.
All right. Because that's when they normally do the spring elections.
Yeah. But we also, some information on taxes. I'm sorry, I screenshotted some of this stuff.
No, that's good.
So we're talking about, I was researching, and I know these things, but I just wanted to have something to kind of share of why our property taxes are so high in Texas. So we're the 6th highest in the United States.
That didn't surprise me. But then we don't have income taxes. They're always a retort, and we never will because of that amendment we passed. And you don't like that amendment? I voted against it myself, and people say, "What are you, a communist?"
I mean, I just don't think that we can make decisions for future generations like that.
That's exactly why I voted against it. I bet I got accused of being, a fanboy of Bernie Sanders. I'm like,
I could see if it was like, we're not going to have a state income tax for the next 10 years or 15 years. But when we're making decisions for our grandchildren who we don't even know what the economy looks like when they're here, that doesn't seem like a smart decision.
No, anyway. But so I bet that passes overwhelmingly, because the truth is, who's going to vote? Yes, let's keep the lower amount. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So it'll pass, I'm pretty sure, even if the voter turnout's next to nothing. And that might save us a few dollars, but, as long as the property values keep rising, that savings will be swallowed up pretty soon.
Yes.
People complain about their property taxes here in Burleson. And I don't see it as a function of the school board or the city council just, squeezing the taxpayers. Far from it. It's just, that's what happens when your value goes up.
Yes, that's what happens when the value goes up. But also the state has made it where it is the primary source of funds to fund everything. So our average sales tax in Texas is 6.25. The highest is 8.25, which is what we live under.
I don't know any community that is anything other than 8.25, tell you the truth.
Maybe West Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in our general area.
No, in DFW, it's all 8.2.
But if you go to other states, like for instance, the state of Tennessee does not have a state income tax. Also, their property taxes are very low, but their sales tax is over 10%.
See, I have a real problem with sales taxes as well, because I think it's very regressive. It hurts the lower income people much more than it does you or I, because sales tax is a fixed amount, and comparatively our incomes are not, and therefore, so it hurts the poor, I think, a lot more. I'm not a fan of the sales tax. I'd much,
But it's like we need to look at other places and say, well, this is how they do it. Is that something that I would want to do, or do we just find contentment in what we have?
Well, many years ago, I was in Massachusetts. It has no sales tax, and there was something that's priced at $5, which is unusual because everything is $4.99 or something like that. So I put down a $5, and I put down about a quarter. And he goes, what do I need the quarter for? And it's sales tax? Oh, we don't have sales tax here. But they have whopping.
Right. And Oregon doesn't have sales tax either.
Or Montana, I believe.
Right.
But they finance themselves through, at least at the time, they were financing themselves through like liquor sales. I guess their idea is get them all liquored up and they won't notice how much tax they're paying. But still, it was ridiculous. Missouri has a state income tax, which my son has to pay. And then you get into like the big cities where you're paying, like New York, you can pay over 60% of your income in taxes because it's city income tax,
right?
State income tax, yada, yada.
Yeah, there's a lot of
St. Louis
taxes.
has a city income tax, a flat rate of 1%. And like, that's a killer.
Yeah. Well, St. Louis doesn't have the highest murder murder rate in the United States.
Thank you for triggering Robin. Thank you very much. We've had this conversation before.
I mean, I feel like if we're paying a state or a city income tax, maybe we could bring down the crime. I don't know.
Well, now I have to go talk her off the list.
I'm sorry, anyway. Robin. I'm sorry I triggered you.
Yeah, it don't take much. But anyway, well,
poor Robin.
She frets a lot, poor woman,
Yeah.
It's
because she has such a big heart. She's married to you.
Yes, you kidding. That's the best decision she ever made. Anyway, back to the tax issues.
Yes.
What could Burleson do to lower tax rates? They can't on their own unilaterally cut property taxes. And
here's the thing. I'm not coming here thinking I know what a solution is. I really don't know what the solution is, but affordable housing is definitely affected by our tax rate. And I know that we give a lot of tax breaks to large companies to bring them because they think we're going to bring jobs, but I don't know what the trade-off is on revenue on that,
Yeah.
Again, I'm not coming at like, oh, I've done all this research and let me just tell you all the numbers. These are just things that I think about of like, I'd love to hear someone else's opinion on that.
Well, my problem with the property tax also is that it just, no matter what could be done at the municipal or school level, it's just going to go up. Because as long as we live in a growing community like this. And I guess the downside of it is that if our tax revenues are declining because our property values were declining, that's not a good sign either, Right. That's also a sign of that our community may not be prospering very well. And so it really is a mixed situation. But I guess we're getting close on time. What time we got a few more minutes. But it's my show. I could go as long as I want. Taylor doesn't know where to go. You have anywhere to go today?
Oh, I mean, I got tons of plans.
Yeah, I know it.
Everything shifts for Mr. Allard.
That's exactly right.
The world stops.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, the thing is, I've had that attitude long before I had this show. So there you are. So it may not be all about me, but it should be. Anyway, the point is that as long as we have this tight housing market, we're going to have these higher rates.
Yes.
But boy, I mean, even if you bring in a bunch of apartments, the argument against apartments is not an invalid one. I mean, you do get these apartments and they look really nice and shiny when they're first built. And then once the investor has gotten his money and made some and he could sell it to somebody else and profit, it's quite often that the new landlord is just going to let it decline. And that's not, and that was the big argument in the last civic election we had last year, is that the apartments that coming in now look nice, but they won't be nice in 10 years. And the ability to make them keep it up is limited.
Right. But it is illegal to tell a developer what they can do with a piece of property, except through zoning, but you are required to have certain amounts of zoning based on state.
Yeah. Well, as far as any new housing developments, I want to end up on this one. There's a big one down Renfro, about 2 miles east of the highway. And I was told by another person working in your field that starting housing is going to be small starter houses, and they're going for $270,000.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I have heard that, but here, let me just explain. That sounds great on paper.
$270,000 is high for a starter home.
Well, that is the starter right now, unfortunately. But what you're going to run into is if the market doesn't slow down, the builder knows this, just so you know. Those houses are going to be in multiple offer situations as well once they're complete. Now, if you can get in on the ground floor, like I don't know how. Some builders, you go in, you pick your lot, you're fixed. So like example, I have a buyer that I'm actually closing next week. They went under contract last February with David Weekley in Fort Worth. They locked in at their price. Okay. And then they did all their upgrades. But what happened was after that February mark, prices started really, really rising. So we're now closing a year later, locked in on a price, and they have like $120,000 in equity on a house they haven't even closed on.
That's a good deal.
It's a great deal. But that was a calculated risk, right? Like trying to figure out when do we lock in and is that going to benefit you? So builders, you can lock in for most of them. Some builders don't do it that way. Some builders are building specs and they build a certain number of specs and then they sell those specs. It's not you're going in and you're picking your finishes. So I do not know enough about that to know which way this builder is doing it. If they're selling specs, then they're going to have multiple offers and that price is going to be quite a bit higher than $270.
That's what I was wondering how particularly this figure was given was before they even broke ground. They'd already cleared off the land and all that. I was thinking they're not going to be able to stay at 270 just for the supply issues alone.
Yeah, I do. I think we're going to see in the next 6 months, though, that the supply chain will start to level off.
Let's hope. I mean,
lumber is coming down some.
Well, let's hope, because then you have other issues. We got the business in Ukraine and it's going to affect supply issues. And then
True.
Pesky Russians are going to make it difficult on us.
That's a whole other subject.
That's a whole other subject.
Let's don't trail off on that.
No, I was going to ask you your political opinions in a minute.
Oh, thanks.
And so, but, I'm just thinking that, I'm sure there'll be nice houses and such as that, but, boy, sure going to add to infrastructure issues. And, I'm got contacts with the city to try to see when.
Well, it's my understanding that Renfro now, though, is under TxDOT.
It is.
Okay, so in their plan, it's already the plan to widen.
Oh boy, widen that and 35 at the same time.
It's going to be at least 4 lanes soon.
I'm sure it'll be very, very conveniently done without any problems for the commuters at all. I'm going to have to drive through Alvarado just to get to Fort Worth.
There's also the master plan community off of the Chisholm.
Right. Yeah, I had Jordan.
And no, that's not, I don't think that'll be.
Oh, we're talking about somebody else?
No, I mean, it's going to be off the Chisholm Trail. It'll be, I believe, Joshua ISD, but.
That's Jordan Bond's.
Okay, but group. Burleson.
Yeah.
Justin Bond.
Oh,
Justin.
I keep saying that. Jordan's his brother. Sorry, Justin.
It's all right. It's the same family, at least.
Yeah, Justin Bond.
I hope they like each other.
As far as I know, they do. Justin, sorry, bro.
Bro.
Well, yeah. Was it bra? I never get this right. Anyway, or bruh.
Yeah. But, I mean, I do think that I don't know what the pricing in that is, but Burleson does not have a master planned community, and those are beneficial. Now, granted, there is HOAs there, so I know Johnson County.
Well, Justin we had him on the show in the summertime, and he was showing us there's plans, and they had like parks and a space for a school, and on and on and on.
Kind of like, think about Bond Ranch. No, it's not Aledo. I'm thinking Justin Bond, and now I'm on that. There's a master development in Aledo that used to be one of the big ranches.
Yeah.
Similar. It'll be similar.
Well, yeah, but those homes are you already told me the going rate at the beginning is a little bit more than what we're talking about.
Probably in the 4s would be my guess.
Something like that. Yeah. And by the time they get to it, and it's a 20-year development. So who knows 20 years from now, I
also think, though, there's a benefit to the rates raising. And I know that people are like, oh, the rates are raising. But the more those rates raise, the more it's going to slow that market down a little bit. There'll be people who are still buying. because they have to, right? But it will make people kind of start second guessing, how bad do I need a new home, right?
Right.
Even though I have so much equity in this home, what's it going to cost me to get into a new home? And I think we've kind of seen that. We just have so many buyers. That's why we have a lack on houses being sold, is because it's like it's a calculated risk of like, I have all this equity, but then where am I going to put it? And what does that look like?
Well, unfortunately, we're about out of time.
Okay.
And we could do this for another hour, but we'll do it again. Let's see, this is March, probably do it again early June, something like that.
Yeah, and then maybe we can talk about what the rates look like and maybe if we're back into ARM country.
Yeah. One last question. So what do you think of the Biden State of the Union address?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Okay, let's go to the
Honestly, I did not watch it in entirety. I
didn't even watch a moment of it. I watched basketball. I made my Tuesday's show. I made it clear I wasn't going to watch it because then it's not because it's Biden. I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah.
I called it a poorly done pep rally by ugly people.
I think I'm going to tell you, I think the last time I watched the State of the Union was when W was in office.
I saw the one in which Obama was going to introduce his health care plan.
Oh, I didn't watch that
And
one either.
somebody in the stands, you lie, and all this other stuff. And it's just, but then Tuesday night, a couple of the Republican women are yelling and hollering at Biden. That's just bad.
Not classy.
No, this is just it's trash.
No matter which way, whoever's standing up there, that's not classy.
My listeners know I'm not a big Joe Biden fan.
I know.
In the least, but there is the matter of decorum and respect.
Right.
And, you have to act like a grown adult instead of standing up and shouting things at him. Like,
I think we're running, well,
yeah, okay.
that's a whole country issue.
Almost got her.
So
all right.
close.
But we're out of time.
We're out of time, so let's run the sponsors. All right. Thank you, Daniel, over at CrossFit Burleson. Hope you enjoyed the show. I know he's very busy these days. I texted with him a couple of days ago, and he says, it's just crazy over there. So CrossFit Burleson, get fit, don't throw a fit. Also, thank you to our host, or guest, rather, Shandy here. She gives us lots of good information in between all the sidetracking we did. But anyways, if you're looking to buy in this area.
Or you just want information.
Yeah, if
just
you want
reach out.
information, is it true that once they call you that all their problems are solved real estate-wise?
I wish that was the case.
Well, it's a good start anyway, so give her a holler and if you're looking to move into this area. Also, thank you to Rex. You're looking to find out what's going on in the stock market, up and down, up and down. The Russell Wealth Group can help you that. Hit myfinancialbox.com. Find out what he's all about. Also, thank you to Kimmy at Dr. V. Hope you're having a good time in Arizona. 817-789-1622. Lose weight, keep it off, live healthy. What a good plan. Gayla Moore's, you need to take your family over there. You look at the jewelry. I know maybe when your daughter graduates high school or something, you look at her ring. Now
Well, it's been on my list to do. I need to go there and Wild. They're right next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Just make a day of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And they're open from 10 to 5. And then after that, you can go, have a evening cocktail or something. But Southern Gym, they got it going on over there. It's got some very nice stuff. Also, thank you to Michelle over at Hot Works it's over by the Kroger and the theater and all that on John
It's by
Jones.
the chicken salad chick.
Oh, Robin loves that place. Free advertisement there. Okay. Hot Works, though, give you an infrared workout so you won't come out all beat up and sore, but there you are. Hot Works, it's a good place to go. Also, Our Place Restaurant, everybody knows Our Place. You go there, find out all the down low, what's going on in Burleson. It's really interesting. We go over there quite often. I've gone in there, and it's like the gentry of Burleson's eating there. So and every time I've gone there, it's not like I had to wait, but I'd never seen it even half empty. It's almost always.
Well, at 6 a.m. it's not.
Well, even
But there are still people there.
Oh, plenty. I mean, my Sunday school class, the men meet at every other Thursday, like we did today. I had to pass on it, but we meet at 6:30, and I would say by the time I leave, it's half full or better. And if you want to go at noon, well, it's full. All right, I've been there at 2:00, and it's about still 3/4 full. So, Our Place Restaurant, the joint. Go by, get you some chicken fried steak. Also, thank you to Wild Cigar and Culture. Get you a cigar, get you a decent drink. They put the ball games on mute so you can watch the game, but it's not blowing you out like a sports bar. And you have jazz in the background, and you're sitting there with a decent highball and a cigar. You feel like I got some class. Yeah.
Oh, and they also have lockers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for cigar storage.
Yeah, I guess I should mention that. They do have cigar lockers, so if you don't want to bring them home or you want to put them in a place that they're going to be well kept,
Preserved for sure.
Yeah, so that's a good place to do it. Also, they have like a meeting room for local meetings. If you want to entertain clients over there, they have a meeting room for that. Also, thank you to Proactive Payment Solutions. Thank you, Antonio. Hope you're doing well. ProactivePaymentSolution.com is the website to get you the POS and other rates that you can deal with, maybe save you some money. Also, Mr. Beagles, paying Beagles Technology Solutions at BeaglesTech.com. 817-944-3572. I forwarded you that message.
Yes, I did receive.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Because for aerial videography, and you can also do it not just for real estate, but for like contractors and land developers and the whole 9 yards. Also, it can help you with your home, turning it into a smart home, help you migrate your data so you won't lose any. It's a full service. Also, thank you to Tiffany Griffin. We'll see you on Monday. Looking forward to it. Hope you're doing well. I know that every month she says it's like climbing a mountain. You're putting it together and you get it out there. Oh, you feel some relief. Oh, now I got to do next month. So it's a lot going on. She's going to talk about her St. Patrick's Day pub crawl.
And she knows what's happening in Burleson.
Oh, she really
does.
For sure. Otto is what put us together, and she's got the lowdown on all the community events. So there you are. So we'll see you on Monday, and also we look forward to seeing all about the centennial thing you got roped into, poor woman. Also, Burleson Radio, Live 365, rock out, get down, and boogie. All right. Thank you, Shandy, for showing up.
You're welcome.
I learned so much. I always enjoy these shows because it's like we start talking about one thing and I was
Yes,
squirrel.
we do.
Do that.
I hope everyone else followed along.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be fine. They enjoy the back and forth. So.
Yeah.
All right, Taylor, I'll be in the studio, as you heard, on Monday.
We'll see you there.
And I'm working on a couple of shows for next week, so we may have a full studio week, which is always good for me.
Just stay well.
Yeah. Well, next month it's tuberculosis.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'll get malaria.
Knocking on wood.
Just it's hell getting old, and we'll see y'all next week.